back out here at Little Beer 6, hosted by Goodword Brewing at the Duluth Town Square. Town Green, not the Town Square.
Town Green.
Yeah, Town Green. I feel like I'm talking in Charles Dickens language. We're here with Aaron from Lupulin, and you are not from this area.
I'm not, no.
Yeah, no, you came out from Minnesota. So
Minnesota.
So what drew you out here besides the obnoxious artist formerly known as Danny Runs for Beer? And I say obnoxious in a very lovingly way.
Being invited by Todd, the very gracious owner of Brewer. Yeah.
So Danny can't steal credit for that.
Danny does not get any credit. No, Danny doesn't get any credit.
So, okay.
Although he might try to claim it here by photobombing here.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Eventually.
All right. So how did the relationship form with Todd? Like, how does Minnesota get down to Duluth, Georgia, Greater Atlanta?
So I met Todd like 3 years ago in St. Louis at a festival of another friend of ours at Second Shift. Second Shift Brewing.
Second Shift out of St. Louis?
Yeah, they're in St. Louis. So Todd and I met at one of their festivals like 3 years ago, and then after that he invited me to come to Little Beer, and I've been coming the last 3 years.
Awesome. All right, so what did you bring? Because Little Beer is a festival celebrating crushable beers, light beers, a lot of lagers here today.
A lot of lagers.
You brought a hoppy lager and you brought an XPA. So why? What was the strategy behind that?
Every year since the first year I came, it was kind of on short notice, so I just brought what we had, which that year was a West Coast Pills and then our Dortmunder, which is a lager we make every year. But since then, every time I've gotten invited back, I've been making beers kind of specifically for this event on our 10-barrel system. Just kind of using it as an excuse to make some smaller beers. Trying out the rye lager, dry hopped with Tangier, which is a fun new orangey hop variety from Siegel Ranch in Yakima. And then the XPA is a fun style that is super popular in Australia.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, it's a pretty crushable, like lower ABV pale ale. Kind of hop more like an IPA, but definitely lower alcohol, no caramel malt. So like in the modern sense of pale ale IPA, but
I kind of get that because it tastes like a single IPA, kind of like pushing low double IPA territory.
But it's less than 5%.
That's crazy. I would never have guessed that. Somebody hands me this blind and I drink it, I would guess, oh yeah, no, it's like a 5.8, 6.2, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can, in the heat of an Australian summer, you can just crush them, right?
Which is in like November.
Which is like, the opposite time of the year is here. Southern Hemisphere stuff.
Yeah. So the hoppy lager, talking about that from a global perspective, well, I don't want to say global, being that we just talked about Australia, but that's a style that it had its peak a couple of years ago where everyone was doing it, and now no one's doing it. And I wish more people would do it because it invites that light crushable territory, but still gives you the hoppy flavor of IPAs.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that no one's doing it, but it's been one of those things that it's hard to, like, from a naming perspective, hard to call it out for what it is and also have it be like attractive to the customer to want to buy. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of fluctuation in the brewing industry on like what to call beers like this. So like I think they're being made just as much as they have been for the last few years, but the naming has been shifting. We're trying to latch on to something that is like successful in communicating what we're doing and having that line up with what the consumers want.
Yeah.
At the same time.
So this is like a part serious, part silly question. At what point does a beer stop falling into the crushable territory? Now, in your experience, as far as what you made, or just from your experience as far as what you like to drink? Like at what point do styles or ABV or whatever frame you want to put this in, at what point does a beer stop being crushable?
I think that's a little different for everyone, but like there's different ways that can be achieved. Like something, if it has too much sweetness, like you can't drink too much of it. If it's too high alcohol, at a certain point, you're going to get to where you can't drink more of it because you're starting to get like inebriated, right? But then like some people want things to be sweeter, and so like you have to get a balance where it's like it's dry enough.
Oh, there's the photo bomb.
Yeah. It's dry enough that you can, like drink more than like one or two of them. It's, but it's got enough alcohol or other flavor that like it makes you want to drink more than. It's not just that it's easy to drink, but it's also like enticing you to come back for more. But then also like not too sweet or not too high alcohol that after like two of them, you're either just like satiated or you're starting to get too tipsy.
So, two-part follow-up. What alcohol percentage is your sweet spot for a crushable beer? And then how many of those can you drink before it's like, all right, time, we're done?
Me personally?
Yeah. Hard question for a brewer, right?
Yeah. I mean, I like a beer to be like right around like 4%, really. And I mean, realistically, like probably like 3 or 4 of those is like if I'm being responsible, like that's a good amount.
In an afternoon, hanging out, posting up with a buddies for the night, and
like four beers at like in between 4 and 5%. Like, it's enough, but it's not. I'm gonna feel okay the next day and everything. I can go about, doing all the responsible things.
Yeah. You still pay the mortgage the next day.
Right.
All right, now we're gonna get silly.
All right.
How many lagers would it take for you to challenge a Kangaroo to a fight?
Probably about a dozen.
A dozen? Full 12 pack?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I might. And I get my ass kicked.
Just enough to get in the ring and just enough to fall on your...
You get knocked out immediately. Exactly.
That's enough where I don't feel the pain
I'd get in the ring and I wouldn't put up any fight.
Just enough to say yes, basically. Not enough to fight it, but enough to say yes to fight.
Or not to be able to resist being pushed into the ring.
Aaron, Lupulin, thank you so much for joining me.
Cheers.
And it was a great time at Little Beer 6. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.